So when I'm building my arch forms, one quick tip I like to do is I screw my two pieces of plywood for the front and back together so that I only mark out my form once and I only have to make one cut. So they're consistent and they're both going to work out the same. So I'm going to do that now, and then I have my center point marked and we can draw out that arch form. This is a Roman arch. I'm going to use a chain to mark my line, because with a chain it doesn't matter how tight I pull, I'm not going to stretch it. If I use mason's line, I'm going to get a possibility of stretching it, and that'll vary my arc, and it won't be consistent all the way along. So what I did was I have my screw in the center. My radius was 488. And I can go through, make a mark, I can check it at the top, and I can check the other side, and then I can double check my dimensions. I've already done that, but if I check it here, from that point, when I pull that nice and tight, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that's 488 there. I can check it from here, I'm at 488. I made a mark here. From that point, I'm pretty close on 488, so that'll work. I can always make some little minor adjustments when I sand the edges of the arch form as well. So you can see with using a piece of chain, I have a nice consistent round arc that now when I go to cut that, I have a good line to follow. I used a marker because with the marker being nice and round, sometimes the carpenter pencils gets caught in the chain. So our next step will be to cut these two out together, and then we can unscrew them and build the part between the form. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out with a jigsaw. And I'm just going to stay tight to my line, but I'm not going to cut the line off because I can always sand, or I can come back and trim it up and fix any little mistakes. I'm wearing my safety glasses, but I'm in a carpentry shop, so I don't need my hard hat. So before anybody asks. Yeah, so I can do a little bit of cleanup on this part, but for the most part, looks pretty good. A little bit there where the two cuts met, but otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that. I just did that to get rid of some of the high spots and some of the bumps and grooves on it. That way they're both consistent. End of the day, it's still going to be brick against here, and it's going to be individual pieces. So it's still, the inside of the arch is going to have some flat spots depending on the type of arch you're building, rough or gauged. But that gives us a good starting point. Okay, so I know I wanted my depth on this form 160. So I left these together. I measured 160, and that left me 130 for my pieces in between. So in knowing that, I know I need a consistent spreader pieces that are 130. So I marked this piece of wood at 130, and I put in a guide, so I don't have to measure every single piece. I know I'm going to need 9-10 pieces. So with that guide in there, I have that set up. I can cut it at 130, slide my next piece in. If I'm a mil or two big or small, it won't make a difference. They'll all be exactly the same, so I'm not guessing.
I was probably totally in the way in those ones anyways.
I attached it across the front, the back. I put one in this edge, and what I did was I checked it here to make sure they're both touching my square. And now I want to make sure they're both touching here, because sometimes things get moved a little. You see how that is? That needs to come up actually on this back side. I would say a couple of mils. So I'll pull that up. I'll shim it up a little bit and then screw it in, and then I know if I follow my 2x4s, I'll have a good square form, and that way we're in good shape that it's going to keep my bricks straight.
You were saying it's more important on that the two sides of the form match on the top than at the bottom, right?
Yes, exactly, because the bottom we're going to shim and adjust, but the top is going to be whatever we get it from plumb and level. Right? So if this is square, we know we get the face plumb, we'll be good. spacing on these ones doesn't really matter. What matters is that they don't stick out past the edge of the form, and that you have enough of them that things aren't going to shift and move. So if I just left it like that, that wouldn't really work. But with all the pieces I have cut, I can now put one in the center, and then one in this center, and then I'm just kind of spacing it out. So I can go 3 and 3, and that should give me lots of support. Right, so you'll see a little bit of a gap in the middle. It's a 2x4 straight, and the form is cut round. So you see a little bit of gap there. Could probably get away with putting one screw on each side, but I like doing at least 2 on one side so it stops this from turning. Right? The opposite side, I'm only going to put one. So that's it. It should be square. Right? When you build it, it should be square across. That way it makes it really easy for your brick to sit level. When you plumb it this way and this is square, this is also going to be level then, which makes it easier to install your form, and it makes it easier to lay your brick. And then hopefully you can do a great job on your wall.